So DC Universe fans, this is going to be an interesting video because I'm going to be talking about why Swamp Thing was cancelled, how Doom Patrol was potentially on the chopping block, and what the heck is really going on with the higher up thing at DC Universe, because you may think to yourself that Swamp Thing was cancelled because of this whole tax rebate issue, and that couldn't really be further from the truth. So let's go over the gist of things and get down to what the heck is really going on. How's it going, guys? Welcome to a brand new video. So I really have wanted to make this video, and I'm kind of frustrated, to be honest, because just of the whole nature surrounding all of this. Obviously, Swamp Thing has been cancelled. That sucks. I made a video the other day. I got a lot of comments saying, oh no, it was cancelled because of money. It was cancelled because of tax. Because I was one of the first people to upload a video on it before all of the articles jumped on the whole tax North Carolina rebate issue. And then obviously, since a lot of people see those headlines from multiple outlets, because that information seemed like quite a legit thing, so everyone started jumping on it. One outlet sees another outlet doing it, and a reputable outlet at that, going with that story, then it seems like, okay, that is maybe the cake, right? But no, that isn't the case, and obviously I wanted to make this video because not everything in this video, by the way, what I say is fact. It's just me giving the gist of what I understand everything to be, even though I am going to be like debunking some things that you may think to be true, for example, like the North Carolina thing. But then again, you may have read some more recent headlines about the whole tax rebate issue being the sole reason for Swamp Thing's cancellation is false. That is completely false. And it really is stemming down to, at the minute, is that it seems to be behind the scenes creative issue stuff. It seems to be AT&T and executives and just big cheeses, what I like to call big cheeses, not really liking the way things are going are unfolding at DC Universe, and obviously Swamp Thing being one of them. But let's get into this. I know that was quite a long intro, but this is really important. If you want to know like the low-key kind of reasoning behind this is the video for you. So as I said, this all started with, and I'm not going to get into like who started like the story. It's not important really. Like that's not what I'm about. I'm on about from what we know at the minute. This all started with somebody saying out there, and it obviously started a chain reaction of things. About how Swamp Thing's main reason for cancellation isn't creative differences or behind the scenes reasons like that, or people not liking it from the higher ups. It's because of this tax rebate issue, where like DC Universe or like Warner Brothers didn't really get enough money. What I'm going to bring up now is the Deadline article that basically goes over the facts. And now ever since this moment, as I said, you may have seen already, multiple places are now correcting the story, saying, okay, that it does seem to be a load of kind of rubbish, to put it bluntly. Now, I know quite a few people aren't really happy with the wording of this article or the way the writer puts it, Jeff Butcher here, and I kind of do get why, because like it's treating the original person who came out with this information about the North Carolina tax thing being the reason, kind of like treating him stupid, because like born on the bayou and more like born yesterday. But either way, that's not what we're on about here in this video. We're on about how North Carolina themselves are denying this whole issue. And just anyway, on the sidelines, Warner Brothers has worked with North Carolina before. Like, they know exactly how much money they can get back out of this. So born on the bayou, more like born yesterday. That's how some fan sites and entertainment news outlets were probably feeling after repeating a Twitter-spawned explanation for the abrupt cancellation of Swamp Thing, the DC Universe series that premiered last Friday, to only be uprooted 6 days later. The series of tweets by Austin writer and cartoonist John Golson blames the show's demise on the colossal tax credits. So I guess that's the guy, as I said, who kind of sparked this reasoning snafu in North Carolina that drains the show's budget by withholding the $40 million infusion of greenbacks that Warner Bros. Had been counting on. Now, as I said, no shade to anyone here. This is just the facts. This guy tweeted about this being the reason, and that's the case. But it turns out that's not the case now. The report was just detailed enough to sound credible, like as I've already gone over, so plenty of sites pounced on it, which is why a lot of you guys, were commenting on the video saying, oh, it's because of money, which I get, when the information is out there at the time. It seems like a legit thing. That's why other outlets legitimately believed it too. But all of it turned out to be as solid as swamp water and twice as muddy. Oof. Anyway, so they go on to explain how Guy Agassi, director of the North Carolina Film Office, said the reporter's description of a tax transaction trapdoor opening up under the fledgling series doesn't match the facts. The numbers were way off too, by citing a tax credit sum, $40 million, that not only exceeds the maximum payment per season for any production, which is $12 million, but it also exceeds the NC, North Carolina's Film Office's entire annual budget, $31 million. Now, I'm not going to read any more about this Deadline article, but I think you guys get the impression that this whole story that a lot of people, like everyone, the entire world was running with for a little while, and I'm not trying to be that guy who said like, oh, I said it first, but I did say in my video, like, there is more to this than what, you know, seems to be the real deal, and it isn't really a matter of money. I mean, you know, for all I know, as I said, I don't want to put spitting facts out there. There might be a couple of money things, but like low-key behind the real reasons of this is because what we're going to get to, like, nothing to do with the tax thing. That just throw that out of your head. It's because there's shit going down behind the scenes that they don't like what's going on, and I'm getting very kind of pissed off about this because, as you guys know, I'm a huge Doom Patrol fan, and if that goes out the window, I'm gonna flip my shit, to be honest. And I think you guys can understand why, like, because I'm starting to hear things, and this isn't one of those things where, Boba, why would you believe because I read comments like this, why would you believe something that you just hear? Like, that's ridiculous. I'm only gonna say stuff like this if I know it to be relatively trusted from, you know, credible sources. That they'd want the whole like DC Universe thing, like from what Swamp Thing was all about and what Doom Patrol was all about, to be more like the freaking CW with like 18 to 23 episodes and that kind of stuff. I mean, what? Like the whole quality of this DC Universe, these DC Universe shows like Doom Patrol, Swamp Thing, that is evidently going to be quite a quality show. 2 episodes in, most people love it. Now guys, if you're wondering why aren't the cast or like Boba, if this is true about the North Carolina thing, even though like you can just look it up now, it's everywhere, everyone's backtracking on that. But anyway, why aren't the cast talking about this? Why isn't Crystal Reed? Why isn't James Wan? Why aren't the big cheeses of the cast, the most known actors, kicking up a fuss? Because they can't talk about it, but they kind of low-key have done a few things here which I'll get to, like just throwing a bit of a dig back at like you know, whoever's, you know, truly responsible for disliking the way DC Universe is doing, like Swamp Thing and stuff. For example, guys, James Wan doesn't even understand why Swamp Thing got cancelled. Don't you think if it was because of North Carolina tax stuff, he would say something about that? Or like, no, because he doesn't really understand, without saying too much about what he does know. For example, like how he does probably know that it's because of the, well, of course he knows it's because of the creative differences, but it's not like they're going to disclose all of that to us with the drama behind the scenes and how he's been fighting to get this show out there. He, like, what I'm about to read out to you from his Instagram is basically him speaking through blurred lines about this shouldn't have been cancelled. Why was it cancelled? I don't understand. And I don't understand either, which is why I'm mentioning Doom Patrol, because if they're going to do this to the shows, it doesn't make sense. I don't understand. So here we go. James Wan said this: don't really know or understand why Swamp Thing was cancelled, but I can tell you this: all the casting crew and producing writing team poured their hearts into this. Really proud of everyone's hard work. Go watch episode 2 and immortalize these 10 episodes. Swampy deserves it. Exactly. There is no rhyme or reason apart from, you know, the you know, as I said, I'm not presenting this as fact, but like what sources are saying to a lot of people out there, which I'll get onto in, like, I would say the definitive article, which is something you guys definitely want to stick around for, is that it's because of the kind of building block foundations are being changed by behind the scenes people. So let's get onto that. So Swamp Thing, Inside the Downfall of DC's Murky Monster, written by Thomas Polito. I'm sorry if I butchered your name, if you happen to watch this video, but this guy is fighting a good fight. He's saying it how it is, and if you want to trust anything, take this guy's word. So I trust what I'm about to read out will give you guys a lot more clarity than me giving my explanation about the whole big cheese explanation behind why things are really going awry behind the scenes of the shows like Swamp Thing and now potentially freaking Doom Patrol, which I'll get onto the Doom Patrol moment in a second. So this article, obviously I'll leave all articles in the description, guys. As you all know by now, DC Universe's Swamp Thing series has been cancelled, amid varying accusations of what went down behind the scenes, from tax paperwork errors to a colossal budget. The Geeks Worldwide spoke to several people close to production on the series about what actually happened, and we're talking people who worked on the show. Like, just take that in for a second. So those are the sources, and obviously these people, as much as they're not allowed to say things, are probably low-key saying things because they just got, you know, thrown in the dirt, thrown in the swamp, if you know what I mean. Like, I mean, come on, brother, come on. So when Warner Media, and listen to this, and AT&T first saw footage from the series, they were not pleased. Certain executives found that they did not care for the direction of the show enough to continue supporting its sizable budget, around 18 million, yes, which is a lot of money, but you know, we'll get onto that in a second, and decided to stop production the day before episode 11 was supposed to begin shooting in mid-April. You may have already heard about this. That's old news. Like, a few days later, after reshoots began on episodes 2, 4, 7, and 10, a new ending was written for the season, now series finale, and production wrapped for good on May 1st. So the story's been changed because obviously they had to do reshoots because they were just stripped from the air, literally on episode 11 when they were meant to have 2 more episodes. So makes sense why reshoots took place. Initially, crew members were told to start tearing down sets on May 2nd. However, things changed on April 22nd when it was announced sets were to stay up for the time being. The reason? Different networks, including HBO and the CW, you may have heard this as well, who have since passed on the series, unfortunately. CW, Swamp Thing, I'm not sure. We're looking at picking up Swamp Thing for a second season, while Warner Media and AT&T were still mulling over their options. It was ultimately the group effort of executive producers James Wan, Gary Doberman, and Mark Verheiden, I'm sorry if I butchered that name as well, and DC themselves, that were pushing for Warner Brothers to reconsider the cancellation. They decided to wait until mid-June to make a final decision, but Warner Brothers decided to pull the plug early last week. This was expected, but it is unknown why they did it so early. The Swamp set is currently being taken down in North Carolina. Now, this is where it gets very, very concerning. Don't get me wrong, I am a fan of the DC-CW shows. But clearly, guys, I think you can tell, I think the quality of DC Universe with Doom Patrol, even Titans, like, despite what you think about first season of that, it's a blank canvas, I enjoyed it, whatever. They have a higher caliber and higher quality, Doom Patrol being the personification of that, and I'm sure Swamp Thing, with just 2 episodes in, proving that it's a quality thing. So anyway, let's get onto this. Sources also stress, so this isn't fact, this is just behind the scenes stuff, but I'm just saying, given what Geeks Worldwide has said before, being true about the whole tax thing, just you don't have to take this so much of a grain of salt, even though I feel like I feel obligated to advise you to do that anyway. But anyway, let's get into this. Sources also stress that the new leadership at Warner Media are very keen on doing more shows in the formulaic style of the CW's Arrow and The Flash, and less shows like Doom Patrol and Swamp Thing. One source even says that Len Wiseman, Underworld, Live Free, Die Hard, was hired as a director to seem like more of a procedural. This tactic wound up backfiring as Wiseman put his own horror spin on the series, which execs were very displeased with. Disney's upcoming streaming service is said to have spooked Warner Media as well. What's really going on here is that AT&T and Warner Media, there's something going on where they're reevaluating the way DC Universe have approached their shows. So if you guys understand what I mean by that, is like the way Doom Patrol was conducted, you know, with these 15 episodes, the way it kind of went along with the pacing and everything like that. They're thinking of maybe going more CW style, maybe going more, Flash and Arrow in that formulaic kind of way. I'm sure you guys understand what I mean by that. But also, that applies to Swamp Thing, but I think they also didn't genuinely like where that was going. There were arguments made about how they wanted to go one way in terms of Swamp Thing, maybe more horror and grounded, but also maybe go a bit more elemental with the green and the Parliament of Trees, and how that was going to be saved for the next season and was actually meant to be in season 1. That, to be honest, really is the core of what is going on. Like, even though it's not like we're going to be opening that door and having a little listen to what is going on with all of those executives. There's no way I could reciprocate or like, explain to you exactly word for word what is going on. I'm not going to pretend to, but I think it's very clear now. I think the clouds or the mist has been completely cleared, and we can really get a good look at what's going on. And I'm really not happy about it, because if it is 110% true that it's because executives aren't liking what's going on with Swamp Thing, and they apply this to Doom Patrol as well, and the reason why I said Doom Patrol is because Thomas, the guy who wrote that article, the guy who's been basically low-key correct about everything from the beginning of this Swamp Thing story, saying Doom Patrol is next on the chopping block. No decision has been made yet, though. So I do want to reiterate, no decision has been made yet, but if Doom Patrol does get cancelled, and no matter what excuse they give, and it's because of like the way AT&T and Warner Media are kind of wanting things to be structured on DC Universe from here on out, I completely couldn't wholeheartedly disagree anymore with that. That show's quality, it's amazing, the fan base, every reviewer, every person I know who does videos like me, or people I don't even know, can agree on one thing: that show is borderline flawless. Like, seriously, I've even said it's practically the best comic book show I've ever seen brought to live action, like through an adaptation of the comics. It's incredible. And if they cancel that, I know I'm repeating myself, but if they cancel that for the same BTS, behind the scenes reasons of what seems to be going on with Swamp Thing, I think it's just, I'm speechless. I'm speechless. So you may be wondering, what about Titan Season 2 and stuff like that? Don't worry, like, Titan Season 2 is still coming out. Like, that's coming out. As far as I'm aware, like, they're filming Stargirl, so I'm sure that will come out. Unless, there's another story in 5 months from now how that was completely stripped and scrapped, but that's probably really most likely not going to happen. Stargirl's still going to come out. Who knows? Though they might apply these new freaking procedural, like, formulaic changes like the CW to these new shows, if that makes sense. That might be the extent of what might happen. But Stargirl's coming, Titan Season 2 is coming, but Doom Patrol Season 2 better be coming. It's going to be interesting if it is coming, which I bloody hope that it does come, that it's going to be interesting to see if they add this whole new approach that the big cheeses want to apply to it. I think one thing that DC Universe needs to do, as much as I love the platform, like, there's different things. There's people higher above, and then there's DC Universe. It's not like DC Universe, the people working on the show. Like, you need to separate it. If there's going to be a load of comments saying, F you DC Universe, it's not like that. It's the people up here doing that. The people who don't really... I don't get why they have these says. Like, I mean, I know they're the people with the money and stuff, but like, this is why things go wrong all the time in the entertainment industry. But one thing I think needs to happen is release a statement. Say what's been going on. Confirm, even though it is already been confirmed, like by North Carolina denying it. Say that it's not because of that. It's because they'll probably just say creative differences, but they need to come out with something. But other than that, guys, I'm gonna leave it here. I would love to hear your thoughts on all of this. I've got a good idea of what you guys are gonna say. This is stupid. They're high quality shows. If Doom Patrol is actually cancelled, like we hear that in 3-4 months time at the latest or something, then, like, obviously this is just going to be even more dumbfounding as to why this is all going on. I'm pretty, like, frustrated, as you can tell, but I'll keep you updated. So stay subscribed to the channel for anything related to this. I know this was a long video, but I just wanted to get everything I was feeling inside me out there, and also try and clarify things for people who were just reading the headlines. Maybe we're all guilty of doing that at some point, but hope you liked the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next DC Universe video, whatever that's going to be.